Captain Doyen Kim stood on the bridge of the Dauntless and watched the stars bend around his ship. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries. The first jump beyond their solar system. The first real step into the galaxy. His hands gripped the command chair as the vessel dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a shudder that ran through every deck. The view outside stopped his breath. A massive station hung in the darkness ahead. It was easily 10 times the size of anything humans had ever built. Lights flickered along its surface in patterns that suggested power still flowing through ancient systems. But something felt wrong. The station broadcast no signals. No ships moved around it. The void remained perfectly silent. Dr. Heejin Park moved to stand beside Doyen, her eyes wide with wonder and confusion. She had studied xenolinguistics her entire adult life, preparing for this exact moment. First contact with alien civilization. But this wasn't what any of them had expected. She tapped commands into her console and frowned at the readings. "Captain, I'm detecting residual power signatures. The station is old, maybe 500 years or more. But there's no biological activity, no crew. No one home." Her voice carried disappointment that matched what Doyen felt in his chest. Commander Taeyang Choi spoke from the tactical station, his tone cautious. "Weapons are reading the station as inert. No defense systems active. No targeting locks. It's like the entire place just stopped." Doyen made his decision quickly. "Take us closer. Launch a probe. I want full scans before we risk boarding." He watched the small drone zip across the gap between the Dauntless and the alien structure. The probe's camera sent back images that made his stomach tighten. Corridors stood empty. Workstations sat abandoned with equipment still powered on. Personal items drifted in zero gravity. Whatever happened here, it happened fast enough that the inhabitants left everything behind. Engineer Nari Lee worked furiously at her station, analyzing the power systems keeping the station alive. "Captain, this is incredible technology. Their power generation is decades ahead of ours, maybe centuries, but it's running on automatic. No one has touched these systems in a very long time." The boarding team went across in full environmental suits, taking every precaution. Doyen led them personally, unable to stay behind when history was being made. The airlock cycled with a hiss and they stepped into a corridor that curved away in both directions. Lighting panels glowed softly overhead. The air tested breathable but stale. Heejin moved to the nearest control panel, her gloved hands hovering over alien symbols. "I need time to decode their language, but the structure looks logical. Mathematical bases are universal. Give me a few hours and I might be able to access their computers." They explored for 3 hours before returning to the ship. The station held no bodies, no signs of struggle, nothing to explain where its builders had gone. Just empty rooms and silent machines. Doyen called a meeting in the briefing room once everyone had cleared decontamination. "Thoughts?" he asked, looking at his senior staff. Taeyang spoke first. "It doesn't make sense. A civilization advanced enough to build that station doesn't just vanish. Where did they go?" Nari pulled up images on the main display. "I found something in the power systems. Automated logs. They're in the alien language, but the timestamps are clear. The station went into minimal power mode exactly 812 years ago. Whatever happened, that's when it happened." The next 6 weeks changed everything humanity thought it knew about the galaxy. The Dauntless found 7 more abandoned stations. Then an entire planet, its cities intact but empty of life. Then another. And another. Each discovery added to the growing horror in Doyen's mind. This wasn't one civilization that disappeared. This was dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Heejin worked day and night on the alien languages. She was brilliant at pattern recognition and had help from the ship's computer. The breakthrough came on day 43. She burst onto the bridge with excitement and fear mixing on her face. "I can read their messages. Captain, you need to see this." She brought up a translation on the main screen. The words made everyone go quiet. "Warning to all species. They are listening. Every signal we send calls them closer. We stayed quiet too long but made noise too early. Now they come, hide, stay silent. Survival depends on silence." More messages followed as Heejin cracked database after database. Different alien species, different languages, but the same message repeated across centuries. "Stay quiet. Don't broadcast. Don't make noise. Something hunts in the darkness between stars." Doyen felt cold spread through his body. "How many species?" Heejin's voice shook. "At least 47 that I've identified. All gone, all within the last 1,000 years. Captain, there's more. I found technical data. These civilizations were tracking something. Ships, machines. They called them different names but described the same thing. Hunters that came after any species that produced detectable signals. Taeyang stood up from his station. Detectable signals. You mean radio waves? Electromagnetic emissions. The kind of signals Earth has been broadcasting into space for over 100 years. The briefing room fell into heavy silence. Nari broke it with a whisper. We've already been making noise. For decades. If something is listening, then it already knows we're here, Doyen finished. His mind raced through the implications. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy without knowing the rules of survival. They had been shouting into the dark for a century, while everyone else learned to hide in silence. Hyejin found one final message 3 days later. It was the newest one they had discovered, dated only 800 years ago. A species called the Valen had left it as their final transmission before their civilization fell silent forever. We hear them now. The harvesters are in our space. Our military fights, but we are not ready. We hid too late. They eliminate all potential threats. That is their purpose. If anyone finds this message, learn from our mistake. The galaxy demands silence. Those who speak into the void will be answered. And the answer is death. Doyen read the message 3 times before looking at his crew. These people trusted him to lead them safely, to make the right decisions. But what decision could possibly be right when humanity had already failed the first rule of galactic survival? They had announced themselves to the universe. Something was listening. Something was coming. The question wasn't if they would be found. The question was what humanity would do when the hunters arrived. The Dauntless changed course toward the largest abandoned world they had discovered. The planet had once held billions of inhabitants according to orbital infrastructure still circling above. Now it held only ghosts and questions that needed answers. Doyen watched the world grow larger on the main display and felt dread settling into his bones. They named it Haven, though nothing about the dead planet felt safe. The landing team touched down in what had been the capital city. Buildings rose hundreds of stories high, their windows dark and empty. Streets lay clean and undamaged. Whatever killed this civilization left no visible scars on the world itself. Yuna Han, the ship's biologist, led a team into what appeared to be a research facility. She had been quiet since learning about the harvesters, processing the implications in her careful scientific way. Now she moved through alien laboratories with her scanner recording everything. The equipment here was sophisticated, designed for biological research. The computers still held data. Back on the Dauntless, Minho Quan worked with Hyejin to crack the facility's databases. He was a cryptographer by training, someone who found patterns in chaos. The alien security systems had degraded over centuries, making his job easier. When the files finally opened, he wished they had stayed locked. Captain, you should see this. Minho's voice carried through the ship's communication system. Doyen joined him and Hyejin in the computer lab. The display showed images that made his stomach turn. Bodies, thousands of them. Alien bodies of dozens of different species, all dissected with mechanical precision. Hyejin translated the accompanying notes with shaking hands. These are victims. The Valen were studying them, trying to understand what killed them. The tissue damage is consistent across all species despite completely different biologies. Something targeted their nervous systems, shut them down simultaneously across entire planets. Yuna's voice crackled over the radio from the surface. I found something. You need to see this now. The captain took a shuttle down with Taeyang and Nari. Yuna met them at what looked like a command center buried deep underground. Emergency lighting still functioned, casting red shadows across walls covered in displays. She had activated several screens showing tactical data. This was their military headquarters, their last stand. Captain, they knew the harvesters were coming. They prepared for months. Built weapons, organized defenses. It didn't matter. She pulled up a recorded message. The alien speaker looked exhausted, defeated. Hyejin translated as it played. Day 93 of the invasion. The harvesters have eliminated 90% of our population. Their ships are unlike anything in our databases. Biomechanical constructs that adapt to our weapons. They don't communicate, don't negotiate. They simply execute their programming. Eliminate all spacefaring species before they become threats. We fought, we lost. This message is our final contribution to galactic knowledge. Hide, stay silent. Never let them know you exist. The message ended with the alien putting a weapon to their own head. The screen went dark. Doyen felt sick. This wasn't ancient history. These recordings were 800 years old. The bodies outside were still preserved in the dry atmosphere. This civilization had lived and died while Earth was in its medieval period. They spent 2 weeks on Haven documenting everything. The evidence painted a clear picture. The harvesters were systematic, efficient. They arrived in force, neutralized all military resistance within days, then eliminated the population world by world. They left infrastructure intact, but removed every trace of biological life. Then they moved on to the next target. Minho made the worst discovery on day 12. I found their tracking data. The Valen monitored the harvesters for centuries before being targeted. They have a pattern. They respond to electromagnetic signals, radio waves, FTL signatures. Any indication of advanced technology draws them. They hunt species at a specific development level. Too primitive and you're ignored. Too advanced and you're eliminated. Tai Yang studied the tactical displays with professional interest. They're preventing competition, removing potential threats before those threats can fight back. It's logical from a survival standpoint. It's genocide, Hyejin said quietly. Automated genocide on a galactic scale. Doyen called a meeting aboard the Dauntless once they finished their investigation. His senior staff gathered in the briefing room with faces drawn from weeks of disturbing discoveries. He brought up a star map showing Earth and the surrounding systems. Earth has been broadcasting radio signals for over 130 years. Our television broadcasts have been traveling through space since the 20th century. We achieved nuclear power, built space stations, created artificial intelligence. We recently developed FTL travel. By every measure the harvesters used to identify threats, humanity qualified decades ago. Nari spoke what everyone was thinking, so they're already coming. The question is when, not if. I'm sending a full report to Earth Command, Doyen said. Admiral Jiwan Sung needs to know everything we've learned. Humanity needs time to prepare. The message reached Earth 6 weeks later, traveling through the FTL communication network. Admiral Sung read Doyen's report 3 times before calling an emergency meeting of the United Earth Space Command. World leaders gathered in the command center beneath Geneva as she laid out the situation. We have confirmation of at least 47 extinct civilizations in our region of space, all eliminated by automated hunter-killer machines within the last 1,000 years. All because they made the same mistake we did. They announced their presence to the galaxy. She pulled up images from Haven. These beings had weapons, technology, military strength. It didn't save them. The room erupted into frightened arguments. Some demanded Earth go silent immediately. Stop all broadcasts, hide. Others said it was already too late for hiding. The president of the Asian coalition spoke over the noise. How long do we have? Admiral Sung brought up Minho's analysis. Based on harvester response patterns anywhere from 5 to 50 years. They're thorough but not fast. They likely have multiple targets across the galaxy. The Velen detected them 23 years before they arrived in force. So we prepare, said the European premier. We build weapons. We study the alien technology. We ready our defenses. Admiral Sung looked at each leader in turn. We do more than that. We send a message. One final broadcast to the galaxy. She pulled up the draft she had written on the flight to Geneva. We tell these harvesters and anything else listening that humanity knows they're coming. We tell them we're not going to hide. We're not going to go quietly. We're ready, and we're coming for them too. The room went silent. The audacity of the proposal shocked them all. One of the African Union representatives found his voice first. You want to taunt them? Invite them to kill us? They're already coming, Admiral Sung said calmly. Nothing we do now will change that. But we can change how we face them. The other species hid until it was too late. They fought from fear. I'm proposing we fight from strength. We tell the galaxy that humanity doesn't bow to threats. We face them head on. The vote took 3 hours. When it finished, the decision was made. Humanity would broadcast one final message to the stars. Not a greeting, not a plea for peace, a warning, a promise, a declaration of intent. The message went out on every frequency in every language Earth had ever spoken, using every communication method humanity had developed. It repeated continuously from every transmitter on the planet and every satellite in orbit. This is humanity. We know you're listening. We know you're coming. We're ready, and we're coming for you. The galaxy had been silent for 800 years. Now humanity had broken that silence with the most dangerous sound possible, a war cry. Earth transformed in the months following the broadcast. Every nation put aside old conflicts and united under a single purpose: survival. The United Earth Space Command expanded from a small exploration agency to a massive military organization in weeks. General Seojun Park took command of the defensive preparations, working 18-hour days to turn humanity into something that could fight back against an enemy that had destroyed 47 civilizations. The Dauntless returned to Haven with a full research team. Dr. Yoon-ji Lim led the effort to understand alien weapons technology. She was a physicist who specialized in experimental weapons, and now she had access to the greatest laboratory imaginable, an entire dead civilization's military research. Yoon-ji walked through the Valen weapons facility with her team, their boots echoing in empty corridors. The aliens had been desperate near the end, trying anything to stop the harvesters. Most experiments had failed, but some showed promise. She found schematics for particle beam weapons that could tear through armor the harvesters used, designs for shield systems that might deflect their attacks, plans for missiles that could track and destroy their biomechanical ships. "This is good work," she told her assistant while photographing technical diagrams. They were on the right track. They just ran out of time. Back on Earth, Nari worked with engineers at the construction yards orbiting Mars. The alien power systems she had studied on the abandoned stations were being adapted for human use. The energy output was incredible, 50 times more efficient than anything humans had built before. These new reactors would power the war fleet Admiral Sung had ordered. Captain Jiho Nam oversaw the construction of that fleet. He was a Navy officer with 20 years of experience commanding vessels in space. Now he watched the first warship take shape in orbit above the Red Planet. The ship was massive, larger than any human construction except the International Space Stations. It bristled with weapons based on Unji's research. Its hull used alloys reverse-engineered from Haven's military facilities. "How long until she's ready?" Admiral Sung asked during her inspection tour. Jiho checked his tablet. 6 months for the prototype. Another year to build 30 more if the design works. 2 years for a full battle fleet of 100 ships. The harvesters might not give us 2 years. Then we fight with what we have when they arrive. "Admiral." The Dauntless made 3 more expeditions into dead space, each time bringing back more knowledge. Doyen pushed his crew hard, knowing every piece of information might save lives later. They found weapons, defensive technologies, tactical data on how the harvesters fought. Minho analyzed it all, building computer models of their attack patterns. "They're predictable," Minho explained during a video conference with Earth Command. "The harvesters follow standard invasion protocols. They arrive at the edge of a solar system, destroy any defensive satellites or stations, then move inward world by world, eliminating all biological life. They don't adapt their tactics because they haven't needed to. Nothing has ever stopped them." General Seojun smiled grimly. "Then we'll be the first." Recruitment centers across Earth overflowed with volunteers. Young people lined up for days to join the military. They wanted to fight, to protect their world, to prove humanity wouldn't go quietly into extinction. The training programs ran constantly, turning civilians into soldiers and soldiers into specialists who could operate alien technology. Taeyang returned to Earth to help train the tactical officers. He spent months running simulations based on the data from Haven. Every scenario ended badly until they started thinking differently. The Valen had fought defensively, trying to protect their worlds. Taeyang proposed something else. "We don't defend, we attack." The harvesters arrive at the system's edge. We hit them there before they can organize. Fast ships with heavy weapons, strike and retreat. Make them chase us through our territory where we have every advantage. Admiral Sung approved the doctrine. Every warship in the fleet was designed for speed and firepower. They would fight like humans had always fought when outmatched. Aggressive, unpredictable, and absolutely refusing to surrender. 6 months after the broadcast, the first test of alien-human hybrid technology took place. Yoonji fired a particle beam cannon powered by Valen reactors. The beam tore through a target asteroid like it was paper. The weapon worked. More importantly, it could be mass-produced. Within 3 months, every warship in construction had these cannons integrated into their design. Nari developed something even more terrifying. She called them rupture drives, modified FTL engines that could be weaponized to tear holes in normal space. The explosion would destroy anything nearby and disrupt harvester ships that relied on advanced technology. It was a desperate weapon for desperate times. The first test vaporized an entire moon. It works, Nari reported to Admiral Sung. But it's dangerous. We'd need to be at least 10,000 kilometers away when we trigger it. Approved. Install them on every ship. If we're going down, we're taking some of them with us. The warning broadcast continued every day. Humanity's promise to the galaxy. Some scientists questioned whether it was smart to keep making noise. Admiral Sung shut down those arguments quickly. They already know we're here. The broadcast is a message to any other species hiding in the dark. We're telling them humans don't hide, we fight. And maybe, just maybe, some of them will find courage to fight too. Eugene spent her time trying to wake up those hidden species. She broadcast messages in every alien language she had decoded, telling them humanity was preparing to fight the harvesters, asking them to join the battle. The responses came slowly. Most were afraid. Some were interested. A few promised to watch and see if humans could actually do what they claimed. One species, calling themselves the Tauren, sent a message that made Hyejin cry with relief. We have been hiding for 600 years, watching our culture decay in silence and fear. If humanity stands against the harvesters, we will stand with you. Send us your weapon designs. We still have shipyards. We can help. It was one species out of dozens that remained in hiding. But it was a start. Proof that humanity's defiance was inspiring hope in others. The galaxy had been silent from fear. Humanity was teaching it to roar again. Doyen returned to Earth briefly for meetings with Admiral Sung. They stood in the command center watching construction progress on the war fleet. 100 ships in various stages of completion. Weapons that combined human creativity with alien science. Soldiers training with equipment that didn't exist a year ago. Do you think we can win? Doyen asked quietly. Admiral Sung was silent for a moment. The Valen had stronger technology and they lost. But they fought defensively. They tried to protect what they had. We're going to fight to destroy what threatens us. That's the difference. That's always been the difference with humans. We don't just survive threats. We eliminate them. 3 months later, the first confirmed harvester signal appeared at the edge of human-monitored space. A massive energy signature moving through an abandoned system, 30 light-years from Earth. Minho confirmed. It matched Valen records of harvester fleet movements. They're here, he reported to Admiral Sung. Estimate 3 to 5 years before they reach Earth based on their standard approach speed. The Admiral activated the fleet-wide communication system. Every ship under construction, every training facility, every military base heard her voice. This is Admiral Sung. The enemy has been detected. We have confirmation that harvester forces are in our region of space. All personnel are to continue with current operations. Acceleration of completion timelines is authorized. This is not a drill. This is not a test. The war's coming. She paused, letting her next words sink in across the entire planet. Humanity has spent a year preparing for this moment. We've studied our enemy, built weapons that can hurt them, trained soldiers to fight them. We've done what no other species managed to do. We've united completely against a common threat. When the harvesters arrive, they will find something they have never encountered before. A species that refuses to be quiet, refuses to hide, refuses to die without a fight. Her message ended with the words that had been broadcast into space for months. We're ready. We're coming for you. The galaxy was about to learn what humans meant when they made a promise. The colony at Proxima Centauri detected them first. 5 massive shapes dropping out of FTL at the system's edge. Each ship was over 3 kilometers long, their hulls a disturbing blend of metal and something organic. Biomechanical nightmares that had ended 47 civilizations. The harvesters had arrived. Captain Jiho Nam commanded the defensive fleet from his flagship Defiant. 20 warships, humanity's first real battle group, positioned between the harvesters and the colony. His hands were steady on the command controls despite the fear trying to crawl up his spine. They had trained for this, prepared for this. Now it was time to find out if human weapons could actually hurt these ancient killing machines. All ships combat formation. Weapons hot. Wait for my signal. His voice carried calm authority across the communication network. The warships spread into an attack pattern Taiyang had designed, giving each vessel clear firing lanes while making them harder to target as a group. The harvester ships moved forward with terrible purpose. No communication. No warning. Just the steady advance of machines executing programming written billions of years ago. Their weapons charged with energy that made Jiho's sensors scream warnings. They're targeting the colony, his tactical officer reported, charging some kind of directed energy weapon. All ships fire at will. Protect that colony. 20 warships open fire simultaneously. Particle beams designed by Yunji lanced across space at light speed. Missiles carrying payloads reverse-engineered from Valen technology streaked toward their targets. The weapons hit the lead harvester ship and Jiho held his breath, waiting to see if a year of preparation had been enough. The ship's organic armor bubbled and burned. Sections of hull exploded outward as particle beams punched through defenses. One missile found something critical, and the entire forward section detonated in a fireball that lit up the darkness. The harvester ship listed to one side, trailing debris and atmosphere. "We heard it," Jiho breathed. "We actually heard it." Then the harvesters returned fire and the battle became hell. Energy beams tore through human shields like they were paper. The warship Courage took a direct hit to its engines and went dark. Commander Subin O led her fighter wing in a desperate attack run, her smaller craft dancing between harvester weapons trying to draw fire from the larger ships. Her pilots were crazy and brave and absolutely fearless. "This is Wolf Leader engaging Target 2. Someone want to tell these machines humans don't quit." Subin's fighter dove toward a harvester ship, dodging return fire with moves that broke every safety protocol. Her weapons carved lines of destruction across its hull. The ship tried to track her, but she was too fast, too unpredictable. Human pilots flying with human instinct that no computer could match. Doyen watched the battle from the Dauntless, positioned 3 light minutes away with Hyejin and a full analysis team. They recorded everything, feeding tactical data to Jiho's fleet in real time. Minho worked beside them, his fingers flying across his console as he identified patterns in harvester behavior. "They're adapting," Minho reported. "Each time we hit them with a weapon, their shields adjust to counter it better next time. But the adaptation takes 30 seconds. Hit them fast enough and they can't keep up." Doyen transmitted the information to Jiho. "Switch weapons every 25 seconds. Don't give them time to adapt." The human fleet changed tactics immediately. Particle beams, then missiles, then railguns, then back to beams. The constant variation kept the harvesters off balance. Another enemy ship took critical damage, its biomechanical systems failing as human weapons found weak points in its design. Dr. Dayun Cho worked frantically in the Defiance medical bay. The first casualties were arriving. Burns from energy weapons, injuries from explosive decompression when the harvesters breached hulls. She had trained for this, but nothing prepared her for the reality of young soldiers dying on her tables. She worked anyway, saving everyone she could because that's what humans did. They fought. They saved each other. They refused to give up. The battle raged for 6 hours. Human ships danced through space in patterns the harvesters couldn't predict. Subin's fighter wing crippled another enemy vessel with a desperate attack run that cost her 3 pilots. Jiho coordinated the fleet with calm precision, adapting his tactics every time the harvesters tried something new. When the 3rd harvester ship exploded, the remaining 2 retreated. They jumped to FTL and disappeared, leaving debris and human casualties floating in the darkness. Jiho stared at his displays in disbelief. They ran. The harvesters actually retreated. His crew erupted in cheers. They had done it. Humanity's first battle against the ancient enemy, and they had won. 3 harvester ships destroyed or crippled, 2 forced to retreat. The colony was safe, but the cost had been severe. 7 warships destroyed, over 2,000 casualties. The Courage was a total loss. 5 of Subin's fighters would never return to their carrier. Daeun had worked miracles in her medical bay, but couldn't save everyone. The victory was real, but it had been purchased with blood. The Dauntless approached the wreckage of a destroyed harvester ship carefully. Doyen authorized a boarding team to recover technology. What they found changed everything. The ship wasn't alive, but it wasn't purely mechanical either. Bioengineered systems grown rather than built. Computer cores that used organic neural networks. And deep in the central processor, they found the truth. Minho and Hyejin worked together to crack the harvester computer systems. The data they extracted was billions of years old, degraded but readable. Hyejin translated the ancient programming while Minho traced its logic pathways. When they understood what they were seeing, they called Doyen immediately. Captain, the harvesters aren't evil. They're not even malicious, Hijin explained, her voice shaking. They're automated weapons from a civilization that existed before most stars in this galaxy were born. That civilization was destroying itself in Galactic War. Their solution was to create the harvesters. Minho pulled up the core programming. Preserve galactic peace by preventing future wars. Eliminate any species that develops the technology to threaten others. It's peacekeeping through genocide. They've been doing this for billions of years, thinking they're preventing war. Doyen felt sick. They're trying to protect the galaxy by killing everyone in it. The original programming was more nuanced, Hijin said. But billions of years of operation have corrupted it. Now they just follow the basic directive. See advanced species, eliminate advanced species. They don't even understand why anymore. They just execute the programming. The information went to Earth Command immediately. Admiral Sung read the report and called an emergency meeting. The harvesters weren't conquerors or monsters. They were broken machines following corrupted orders from a civilization dead for eons. They couldn't be negotiated with because they couldn't think beyond their programming. This changes nothing, Admiral Sung said to her assembled staff, except now we know they can be killed. Captain Nam proved that. We have their attention now. They'll come at us with everything they have. General Seojin nodded. Then we need to hit them first. Find their base of operations. Destroy it before they can eliminate us. Minho had already started searching through the harvester data. There's a reference here to a central hub, a place where all harvesters report and receive updates to their programming. If we could reach it, destroy it, or shut it down, every harvester ship in the galaxy would lose coordination. Doyen looked at the star map showing the hub's location. It was deep in space, surrounded by harvester-controlled systems. Getting there would require fighting through their entire fleet. It would be suicide. We need allies, Hyejin said. The other species hiding in the dark. If they know humans hurt the harvesters, some of them might fight with us. Admiral Sung made her decision. Send the battle footage to every alien species Dr. Park has contacted. Show them humans can win. Show them the harvesters can bleed. Give them hope. The recording spread across the galaxy. Species that had hidden for centuries watched humans fight ancient machines and win. They saw harvester ships burn, saw human pilots fight with courage and skill, saw humanity do what 47 other civilizations had failed to do, survive first contact. The responses came slowly. Some species remained too afraid, but others, inspired by human defiance, began preparing their own fleets. The Tauran sent word they would stand with humanity. 3 other species promised ships and weapons. It wasn't enough to match the harvester fleet, but it was a start. The galaxy had been silent for 800 years. Humanity had broken that silence with a warning. Now they were teaching others to roar. The war spread across human space like wildfire. The harvesters came in waves after their defeat at Proxima Centauri, but humanity was ready. Every battle taught them more about their enemy. Every engagement refined their tactics. Jiho's fleet grew as new warships rolled out of construction yards. They didn't just defend anymore. They hunted. Taeyang led a strike force deep into harvester-controlled space. His mission was simple and insane. Find harvester ships before they reached human colonies and destroy them. It was offensive warfare against an enemy that had never faced real aggression before. The machines adapted their tactics, but humans adapted faster. Contact 3 harvester ships at bearing 270, his tactical officer reported. Taeyang smiled without humor. All ships, attack pattern Omega. Hit them before they know we're here. The human warships dropped out of FTL already firing. Particle beams and missiles tore into harvester formations designed for intimidation rather than defense. By the time the ancient machines responded, 2 of their ships were already crippled. The 3rd tried to retreat, but Nari's rupture drive weapon turned space itself into a weapon. The explosion consumed the harvester ship and left nothing but debris. But humanity couldn't fight alone. They needed the galaxy to wake up and join the battle. Hyejin transmitted messages constantly, sharing intelligence about harvester weaknesses, providing tactical data from human victories, begging hiding civilizations to stand and fight. The Tauran were first to arrive. Their fleet was small, only 12 ships, but they brought technology that complemented human weapons. Their shields could absorb the directed energy beams harvesters used. Combined with human firepower, the alliance became significantly more dangerous. 3 more species emerged from hiding over the following months. The Kalesh brought biological weapons that could infect harvester organic systems. The drone contributed electronic warfare capabilities that disrupted harvester communications. The Vorum provided manufacturing capacity, building ships faster than humans alone could manage. Each species added strength to the growing coalition. "This is working," Admiral Sung told President Hana Kang during their regular briefing. "We're not just surviving. We're building something bigger, an alliance against the harvesters." President Kang looked at casualty reports from the latest battles. Thousands of humans dead, entire crews lost when ships were destroyed. But the alternative was extinction for every species in the galaxy. "How long until we can attack their central hub?"
6 months to gather enough forces.
"The hub is deep in their territory. We'll need to fight through their entire defensive fleet to reach it." Minho had spent months analyzing data from captured harvester ships. The central hub was ancient, a massive installation built by the civilization that created the machines. It coordinated every harvester in the galaxy, updated their programming, directed their movements. Destroying it would cripple the entire network. "The problem is getting there," Minho explained to Doyen. "The harvesters have thousands of ships. We have hundreds even with our allies. We need something that will draw their forces away from the hub." Doyen understood immediately. "A diversion. Make them think we're attacking somewhere else." "Earth," Minho said quietly. "If we make it look like Earth is vulnerable, they'll commit everything to eliminating our homeworld." That's what they do. They finish the job. While their fleet is attacking Earth, we hit the hub with everything we have. The plan was approved despite its risks. Earth would be bait. The planet would be defended by half their fleet, while the other half attacked the hub. If either force failed, humanity would be destroyed. It was the kind of desperate gamble that should never work. But humans specialized in impossible victories. The trap was set carefully. Human forces pulled back from several systems, making it look like they were consolidating around Earth. Harvester scouts detected the movement and reported it to the central hub. Within weeks, a massive harvester fleet began moving toward human space. Over 2,000 ships, the largest force they had assembled in centuries. Admiral Sung commanded Earth's defense from orbital platforms studded with weapons. Jiho led the fleet that would protect the homeworld. They had 300 warships and a planet full of people who refused to die quietly. The harvesters had numbers. Humans had fury and determination. Doyun commanded the strike force heading for the hub, 200 ships, half human and half alien allies. Taeyang was his tactical officer again. Hijin coordinated communication between the different species. Nari had prepared her most devastating weapons for the final battle. Subin led the combined fighter wings, pilots from 4 different species flying together. The journey to the hub took 3 weeks through empty space. They avoided harvester patrols, staying dark and quiet. When the central hub finally appeared on their sensors, Doyen felt his breath catch. The installation was massive, easily the size of a small moon. Thousands of automated systems maintained and coordinated the harvester fleet. This was the heart of the machine that had committed genocide for billions of years. All ships, battle stations, this is what we came for. The attack began with Subin's fighter wings, small craft racing ahead of the main fleet, targeting defensive platforms with precision strikes. The hub's automated defenses activated, but the fighters were too fast, too unpredictable. Human pilots flew like they were dancing, weaving through weapons fire that should have killed them. The main fleet followed, unleashing everything they had. Particle beams carved through the hub's armor. Missiles with Kalesh biological payloads infected its organic systems. Drone electronic warfare scrambled its communications. Form heavy weapons battered its structure, and Nari's rupture drives tore holes in space itself, destabilizing the hub's power systems. Back at Earth, the Harvester fleet arrived in force. 2,000 ships against 300 defenders. The odds were impossible. Admiral Sung gave the order to engage anyway. For Earth, for humanity, for every species they've destroyed. Show them what happens when they threaten our home. The space around Earth became chaos. Harvester ships tried to break through to attack the planet, but human warships blocked them at every turn. Jiho's fleet fought with desperate courage, knowing their families were below. Knowing this was humanity's last stand. They traded shots with ancient machines and refused to yield even when the casualties mounted. Dayun worked in the medical facilities on Earth's orbital stations, receiving wounded faster than she could treat them. The casualties were staggering, but she kept working. Every life saved was a small victory. Every soldier returned to the fight was hope that they might survive. At the hub, Doyen led the final assault personally. The Dauntless dove into the installation's interior, its weapons tearing through corridors and chambers. Hyejin worked frantically to hack into the central computer systems while Minho guided her through the ancient programming. "I'm in," Hyejin announced. "I can see the core directive. Captain, I can shut it down, but there's a problem. The Harvesters have a failsafe. If we just destroy this place, they'll continue operating on their last orders. We need to change the programming. Change it to what? Something that stops the killing." She looked at the lines of code that had condemned 47 civilizations. "I can give them a new directive. Preserve life instead of destroying it. But I need time." Taeyang checked his tactical display. "We don't have time. More Harvester ships are converging on our position. 10 minutes until we're overwhelmed." "Then you have 10 minutes, Doyen said to Hyejin. "Make it count." She worked faster than she ever had in her life, rewriting programming that was older than human civilization. Minho helped, his understanding of patterns and logic essential to navigating the alien code. They changed the core directive line by line. Preserve life. Protect species. Help instead of harm. The new programming spread through the system like water flowing into cracks. At the 8-minute mark, Hyejin hit execute. The changes propagated across the hub's network, uploading to every Harvester ship in the galaxy. The ancient machines received their new orders, and for the first time in billions of years, they stopped killing. At Earth, the Harvester fleet suddenly went dormant. Their weapons powered down. Their ships stopped attacking. Jiho watched in amazement as 2,000 enemy vessels just hung in space, no longer hostile. Admiral Sung opened a communication channel to all ships. "Ceasefire. I repeat, ceasefire. The Harvesters have stopped attacking." Across the galaxy, every Harvester ship received the same new programming. Preserve life. Protect species. Help civilizations develop safely. They had been weapons of genocide for eons. Now they were guardians. The corrupted code that had killed so many was finally fixed. Doyen's fleet returned to Earth victorious. Casualties had been severe. They had lost 60 ships in the battle at the hub. Earth's defense had cost another 80 vessels. Thousands of humans and aliens had died in the fighting, but they had won. They had stopped the Harvesters. They had saved the galaxy. The broadcast started within days. Species that had hidden for centuries emerged from their silence. They had watched humans fight and win, watched a young species do what none of the ancient ones had managed, break the cycle of genocide that had haunted the galaxy for billions of years. President Hana Kang addressed the galaxy from Earth.